What's good, family? So smash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. Wow, it's kicking off in the land of very nice, how much? Wife nice, how much? Listen, in the land of very nice, it's all kicking off right now. So, as you man can see on your screen, there's a bit of a Ukrainian, I'm not sure what you'd call it, but listen, they're beefing, no doubt, 100%. Ukrainian mafiosi are beefing right now. Factually, bottom linely, Vitaly and Wladimir Klitschko have snubbed Alexander Usyk and have showed him no love, give him no advice and no help. And these are the comments from Usyk's manager, who said the following: Usyk has worked incredibly hard in training and will prove against AJ that he's the best around, helped by the addition of trainer Anatoly Lomachenko, who is obviously Lomachenko's pops, who has brought his game to the next level. As for the advice from the Klitschko brothers, our fellow Ukrainians, may I add, we haven't seen them in our training camp even once. Usyk has his own story, and he has been writing it for a long time, including getting squashed by welterweight Sean Porter. From the moment he came to the gym at a young age, he doesn't need anyone else. So there you go, then you heard there from your man's Usyk's manager. Now, listen, it always makes me laugh when, for example, it makes me laugh when people bring things up here and they weren't questioned about it. For example, if you get asked a question, yo, Usyk, has Vitaly or has Vladimir give you a helping hand? That's one thing, but didn't no one ask him that question? So the fact that Usyk's team are bringing it up, oh, and as for the Ukrainian brothers, so for my alleged Ukrainian brothers, they ain't showed even a bit of love. You know what I'm saying? One of them ones. So obviously, Usyk's feelings, even though he's trying to make out he's not feeling some type of way, he's saying, oh well, I'll make my own story. Listen, make your own story. Did that story include getting splattered by Sean Porter? I bet it didn't. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's not make up that you be writing the best stories. Because what we do know is anyone writing their best story is going to miss out a heavyweight or a cruiserweight getting swatted by a 147 pounder with weights in his shorts. Whoa, wow, Usyk was down bad, super duper bad. He was down. Yeah, no doubt. But then again, this is what makes this fight so tragic. The fact that we've got AJ running around the place, and then a dude who was putting weights in his shorts splattered Usyk. Do you understand? AJ's running around the place from a dude who got splattered by a welterweight with weights in his shorts. Wow. You understand? But anyway, let's get to the actual news article. You've heard there, like I said, obviously Usyk's feeling some type of way. Klitschko's ain't showing no love. Now, what I think is going on here is typical competitive ego. What do I mean by that? Well, particularly in the Klitschko's case, I've always found this. The Klitschko's, yes, publicly speaking, yes, I'm sure a lot of Ukrainian fans and Russian fans, like everyone does with their heroes, everyone looks up to their heroes, obviously. But behind the scenes, I've heard the Klitschko's, especially Vladimir, they're quite pompous, if that makes sense. For 10 years, they dominated the heavyweight division, and they walk around a bit with their chin in the air, if that makes sense. Yes, they're polite. Yes, this, that, the other. But that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing they're quite pompous. Yeah? They see themselves, and to be fair, it's not the first time a heavyweight champion has found themselves pompous. I think arguably you probably need that. It's a bit like the great generals. The great war generals, they had their head up their own arse, didn't they? So it's not a character judge, I'm just saying what it is and applying it to how I think it's relevant in this situation. Well, what do we know? Just assume I'm right. Assume Wladimir Klitschko is a bit pompous. I mean, for example, when they kicked out Kugan for doing something stupid, one of them ones. That's just probably a bad example, but either way. To tell a lie, a better example, when Klitschko was like, I have recording, I have USB, I have USB recording. I'm going to slaughter AJ, and I have recording. Do you know what I mean? That could be seen as quite, what's the word? It's quite presumptuous. Again, not a bad thing. It's not a bad trait to have as a champion, but nonetheless, it goes into a bit of Vladimir's thinking. And also, in fact, even before he fought Fury, Vladimir was saying, "I'm the doctor. I'm gonna get into your mind," and all this kind of stuff. And bearing in mind, Vladimir isn't known as a massive talker. The fact he said them things, it goes a way of showing you his mentality. He believes he's that guy. So he's got a certain level of ego. Now again, I've spent quite a lot of time explaining that. YB, what does Vlad having pomp and ego, what's that got to do with him punking Usyk? Well, I believe, potentially, Vladimir sees an opportunity. He sees potential weakness in AJ. And on that basis, what he doesn't want, I don't believe, or clearly, you know what, forget the whole psychoanalysis of Vlad. The only way to read this is that Vladimir doesn't want to help Usyk win, bottom line. Now I'm going to speculate, if AJ was, maybe Vlad wouldn't offer his help anyway. But what I'm saying is, Vlad would be much more likely to offer help if AJ was on the best form ever and just murking everyone. Why would he be more likely? Because he'd think, you know what, Usyk's a cruiserweight, he needs all the help he can get, just not to get splattered. Now, again, let's assume AJ is in a bit of a low in his career. Yeah? Vladimir got beat. Do you understand that? Vladimir, the Ukrainian full-fledged heavyweight, got beat. Not only did he get beat, yeah, he got beat by stoppage. Now, Vlad's, in my opinion, already going to be mad. He's thinking, wait a minute. I knocked out Pulev in the 4th round. I knocked out a prime Pulev in the 4th round. Pulev couldn't lace my boots. And Pulev's just gone and done more or less the same thing I did against AJ. So already, in my opinion, and from what I've heard from people close to the Klitschko camp, Vladimir was already mad. Thinking, essentially, AJ's getting off all over my career right now. AJ's mugging my legacy off because AJ's putting all these bum people next to me as such. For example, Pulev and Klitschko now look about the same, if that makes sense, from AJ's point of view. And again, knowing Klitschko's legacy, he wants to have himself above everyone else. So every time someone goes in there, yeah, and God forbid makes it a distance, do you understand? If Usyk is to make it the distance, what does that say about Vladimir? That says that, wow, of course, us high-level boxing fans know that it's got nothing to do with Vlad. It's to do with what AJ's doing. But nonetheless, casual boxing fans, if Usyk makes it a distance, yeah, a casual boxing fan would be fair to conclude that, wow, Usyk's better than Vlad. And how many times have we heard them kind of, how many times in the past have we heard them kind of arguments? If someone gets stopped by a fighter, yeah, and someone makes it a distance, people always say, well, obviously, Usyk's better than Vlad because he made it distance against AJ, kind of thing. So again, feeding it all back to this whole snubbing, Vladimir, bottom line, doesn't want to do anything that's going to undermine his own legacy. AJ stopped Vlad in the 11th round. Vlad is praying at this point. AJ pulls his finger out and gets Usyk out of there ASAP, much before the 11th round. Because if he don't, Vlad is essentially, and most of Vlad's damn legacy is going to be undone by a countryman a weight below him. Do you understand? That's not a good look. And again, the problem is as well, it's a bit like the closer to home it is, the worse. The closer to home it is, the more powerful the effect. For example, Andy Ruiz beat AJ and went a distance. That's not going to cut Vlad deep. Of course, it's going to annoy him a bit, thinking, wow, that chubby dude, he managed to beat him and go the distance. Damn, I'm down bad. However, it doesn't burn nowhere, it doesn't touch nowhere as close to home as a countryman and a smaller countryman. A countryman from a weight below. If he does better than you, And you've got all this pomp and ego. I mean, scrap the pomp and ego. Just as a competitor, just as a top level competitor, it's irritating. I've been to a certain level in sport. I'm telling you now, I've had close friends, and when they do better than you, it's annoying. Real annoying. Yeah, on a friendly level, you wish the best for them, but deep down you think, I'd rather me be in their position. You understand? And I've never had the kind of ego Vlad had, as such. So this isn't a massive. I mean, it's not a massive deal. Like Usyk's team said, Usyk's been getting splattered by welterweights his whole career, so it's not missing nothing by speaking to Vlad. And genuinely, I've always been skeptical of all that. Oh look, let me show you something. What are you really gonna show someone? Until you're in there, there's so many, especially in boxing today, where there's so many different. You don't know who's gonna turn up, do you? You don't know which fighter's gonna turn up. I mean, look at Fury. Is he going to run around? Is he going to jump on the front foot? Look at AJ. Is he going to run around? Is he going to jump on the front foot? It's all over the place. And again, thinking more specifically, what could Vlad really tell Usyk? What can he tell him? What's he going to tell him? I can't think of much. Apart from maybe stick it on him. That's your best chance. Stick it on him and roll the dice. Which every boxing fan should be thinking that, to be fair. Or, sorry, anyone involved in boxing should be thinking that. Have a go. Why is that a half-sharp strategy? Look at Andy Ruiz. Have a go, put something on him, and see what happens. That's what... And even if you're not thinking that, what's Vlad going to be saying? Look at Vlad's career. What did Vlad's career, or what did Vlad's fight against AJ tell him? I should have stuck it on him. I should have kept it on him. Bottom line. I can't even... Obviously, we know the YB's 190 IQ, but even with 190 IQ, I'm struggling to think what special insight Vlad going to have. Nonetheless, I guess from Usyk's point of view, and from a countryman point of view, it's more about the... What's the word? It's more about the support and the thought, isn't it? Rather than the actual technical part of things, maybe. For example, sometimes we see Floyd Mayweather. Obviously, they're a lot more closer, but we see Floyd Mayweather giving his fighters advice and whatnot. How much is that advice really going to do? We don't know. It's more to do with, wow, why not have some more advice from someone who's actually been in the ring with AJ, if that makes sense. Or at least offer the option. It'd be nice to think your countryman who's been in that situation, who's now retired, would say, come on man, let's try and get this W. Because to be fair, I've spoke a lot about ego, but really thinking about it, not everyone's like that. Bearing in mind now, Wladimir is retired. Is he thinking of coming back? That would make a lot more sense, to be fair. If Vlad comes back in the next 5 years, it'll make sense why he ain't speaking too much. If he doesn't, it just shows that he's full of ego. And he's stush. I'm trying to think of an example, but we have seen fighters in the past kind of give advice to people. I'm sure we have. I mean, let me think about it. I don't know, because then again, when you look at people like Lennox Lewis is still bitter about AJ. So maybe it's not to do with. But then again, they're all certain character types, aren't they? Heavyweight boxing champions, they're all that, in my opinion, extremely similar in that department. They don't competitively. They don't wish. Yeah, they may say it in an interview, but normally their actions. They don't really wish too much success. They don't want people to undermine their legacy, which is a human emotion, I guess. Why would you want another man to be seen better than you? Why would you? Explain that to me. That make no sense. Now, I guess there are, tell a lie, there is certain examples. I think Ali, but then again, Ali was well old. When Ali first retired, was he spurring on the people below him? I'm not so sure. Obviously, when you're 17, you're miles away from it. It's a bit different then. And again, like I said, there's been talk of Vlad coming back. So, who knows? Anyway, listen, it'll be what it'll be. In my opinion, no amount of, yes, it would have been nice on a social level, on a relationship level, on a country level, for Vlad to show up and tell a lie, I've just spent 10 minutes evaluating Vlad, but why didn't Vitaly show up? He's long retired, he ain't coming back. Why didn't he show up then? So I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe they are just full of ego and they're just, maybe Vitaly and obviously they're brothers. So maybe they're thinking, maybe Vladimir rang him and said, listen, don't go and help him because I don't want my... AJ's already mugging my legacy off, making bums like Pulev look half sharp. The last thing I need now is a cruiserweight Don. Outscoring me. So yeah, no doubt there's some bitterness going on there, but like I said, bottom line is, putting all that fuzzy-duzzy emotion stuff to the side. Bottom line, how many out of 100%, if 100% yeah, would guarantee a KO against AJ, how many of them percent is Vlad or Vitaly going to add to Usyk? I think maybe 1 or 2% at the best. More likely 0, to be fair, because once, like we all know, once you get cracked in the mouth, do you think Usyk's really going to be thinking, wow, what did Vitaly tell me 6 Thursdays ago at 2 p.m? He ain't going to be thinking that. He's going to be thinking what he's drilled, what he's been doing day in, day out. It makes me laugh when these dudes come in for 2 hours in a camp. That's not going to do nothing. Never going to do nothing. If you ain't, I mean, I'm not being funny here. People who have trained at a high level, yeah, you know that it's hard enough under pressure when you're tired, in the middle or towards the end of a fight. It's hard enough to do the things you've trained day in, day out. Never mind, some dude just rocked up for 2 hours, some famous looking ass dude rocked up and give you some fuzzy-duzzy tips. You understand? So, whatever. But it's kind of funny from a banter point of view to see that Usyk getting punked. Yeah, listen, Usyk been punked. No doubt, 100%.